All right, let's dive in. We're going to talk about a huge question in the software world today. How do you take a standard system and make it perfectly yours? We're talking about customization, and believe me, it is way more important than you might think. So let's get right to it.
You know the feeling, right? Almost every business has been here. You invest in this really powerful piece of software, but it's just missing that one little thing, that one specific feature you desperately need. So what do? Well, for years, the answer was, let's just say, messy and kind of dangerous. And that really gets us to the heart of the problem, what we're calling the customization challenge. How do you adapt your software to fit your needs without, breaking the whole thing?
Let's look at the old way versus the new way, because the difference is night and day. The old approach was to just go in and directly change the software's core code. It was a total nightmare. A single update from the software provider could shatter everything you'd built, costing you a ton of time and money. The new way? Using extensions. It's a complete game changer. It's safer, it's modular, and it actually plays nice with software updates.
So it's time to properly introduce the hero of our story, the software extension. This is the modern, elegant solution to that whole customization challenge. The whole concept is actually brilliantly simple. An extension is basically a self-contained little package of code. It adds new features or changes how things work, but, and this is the crucial part, it does it without ever touching the original software. You can think of it just like an app on your phone. You install an app, it gives you new capabilities, but it doesn't mess with your phone's core operating system. Same idea. So what do you get with this approach? Well, an extension can add totally new functions, it can tweak the screens and the data you already use, and maybe best of all, you can install or uninstall it with, a single click. Most importantly, it doesn't get in the way of software updates, so all your hard-earned customizations, they're always safe.
Okay, theory is great and all, but let's make this real. We're going to walk through a real-world case study from Microsoft Business Central. We're looking at an extension that adds a customer rewards program.
The business goal here is super straightforward. The company wants to track customer loyalty and, reward their best customers. But the base software just doesn't have that feature built in. So they need to add it.
So what does this actually look like to the person using the software? Well, first, they run a simple little setup wizard, and boom, instantly, new fields for reward points and reward level just appear on the customer's profile. Then an administrator can go to a new screen to define all the reward tiers. It's totally seamless. It feels like it was part of the software all along.
Okay, so we know what it does, but how does it actually work under the hood? Let's break down the basic anatomy of an extension. It's not as complex as you might think.
It all comes down to three fundamental building blocks. First, you need a place to store your new information. Makes sense. Second, you need a way to display that information on the screen. And third, you have to add the logic, the brains, that makes it all work together. Store, display, logic. That is it. That's the core recipe. That first block, storing the data, is handled by something called a table extension. This basically lets you add new fields to an existing data table. And I love this analogy. It's like adding a custom pocket to your favorite pair of jeans. You're not remaking the jeans. You're just extending what they can do.
In our rewards example, the table extension adds these new pockets to the main customer data table. It creates places to hold the reward points, the customer's reward level, and even some info like the activation code for the extension itself. All this new data now has a home, right alongside the original customer info. All right, next up, building block number 2, displaying the information. This is done with a page extension. And just like the name says, this component extends an existing screen, letting you add new fields or buttons or actions for the users to see and interact with. Remember what we saw earlier, how those new fields just appeared? Well, that was the page extension in action. It added the reward level and reward points fields right onto the customer's profile. It put that new reward levels button on the main customer list, and it even created those brand new pages from scratch, like the setup wizard. All of that was done with a page extension.
And finally, we get to the logic. This is where the code unit comes in. The easiest way to think about a code unit is that it's the brain of the extension. It's where all the rules, the instructions, and the calculations live. It is what makes everything actually work.
So what exactly is this brain doing? Well, in our example, it handles the initial setup when you first install it. It validates that 14-character activation code the user types in. And it contains the most important business rule: give customers 1 reward point for every single sales order they place. And it does all this by reacting to events happening elsewhere in the system.
Now, this idea of events is super important and really clever.
This quote explains it perfectly. Instead of the extension constantly asking the system, hey, has a sale happened yet? How about now? Now, which would be really inefficient, the main software simply sends out an announcement, an event, whenever a sale is completed. Our little extension is just listening for that announcement, and when it hears it, it reacts by adding a reward point. It's incredibly smart and efficient.
Okay, so we've been deep in the technical details. Let's zoom back out for a second and look at the bigger picture. Why does all of this matter so much for businesses?
So, why is this extension model such a massive deal? Well, first, it gives you safety. You can customize without the constant fear of breaking something. Second, it gives you agility. You can adapt and change your software super quickly as your business needs evolve. And third, it fuels innovation by creating these huge marketplaces where specialized developers can offer pre-built features for you.
Ultimately, this technology transforms software from being just a rigid tool into a truly flexible platform. It allows you to build the exact system your business needs to win. Which really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. What's the one custom feature that would completely change your world?